One of the very first steps of my Recon methodology is subdomain discovery. There are countless of tools written in Bash, Python, Go, and other languages for this purpose. Some of them are passive, such as looking through public records, while others are more active and involve brute forcing. To be able to cover a large space, a large attack space, and increase our attack vectors, we will be using a combination of these tools. And once we have a big list of subdomains, we'll be cleaning this list and making sure we only include what we think may be the highest yielding assets. Now, for the purpose of this lesson, we'll be using google.com as our target. Google has a public vulnerability rewards program, and I'm sure they won't mind if we do a little bit of subdomain discovery. After all, we'll only be listing subdomains, and this doesn't pose any threat to their security. Now, their scope, as outlined in the policy, in their vulnerability reward policy, is pretty inclusive. It's actually star.google, so star.google.com, and it also includes other domains different than google.com, such as YouTube and their other assets or products. So when we have a star domain.google.com, this actually means that we can test on all the subdomains of google.com. As I've discussed in previous videos, you want to make sure that before you start engaging with the target, you clearly understand the scope and its disclosure policy. I cannot stress this enough. Okay, so the tools we'll be using, or the tools that I selected for subdomain discovery, are AMAS. I'm just going to write them down here. AMAS find domain, which is a really cool one. crt.sh, the command line version of it. Also asset finder and subbrute. And we'll start with, we'll work through each of them. I'm not going to tell you how to install them because this is not a beginner level course. I assume you've already figured out how to install them. However, I will include links to their installation guide and to the documentation in the resources document accompanying this lesson. Again, we want to be using multiple tools to increase our chances of finding as many subdomains as possible. We'll get duplicates because all of these tools will output a lot of the same subdomains, and we'll take care of those duplicates, or we'll take care of the results later. For now, we want to have as many subdomains as possible. Now, since scanning for subdomains on google.com can take a lot of time, I mean they have like more than 20 or 30,000 subdomains, we'll be focusing on lower level subdomains by scanning. We'll be scanning actually all.docs.google.com. So this is actually a lower level subdomain. Alright, the first tool I said, it's gonna be AMAS. So how do we use AMAS? Since you already have it installed, you can simply do AMAS enum-d docs.google.com. Hit enter, and then I'm going to open up a new window here. Maybe start another tool. So AMAS does much more than subdomain enumeration. So you can check out its user manual. Let me actually become root. Okay. If we look at AMAS -- help, we can see everything that AMAS can do, and you can check out, as I said, you should definitely check out the documentation of AMAS. Okay, well actually we can see we're getting something here, and we'll actually let it run, and when it finishes, or earlier, we'll actually copy paste the findings to a results.txt file. So let me actually create that txt file. Let's do touch results.txt. Alright. Okay. The second tool that I want to use is called find domain, and it's as easy as find domain -t docs.google.com. Okay, so before running this, I'll also suggest you look into the help of find domain. and you can see everything it does. Again, I'm going to link to all of these in the resources document that comes with this lesson. So find domain -t docs.google.com. Okay, this might be actually faster. Now, similar to AMS, like I said, find domain is a very complex tool. We'll get a few errors because of the fact that I haven't configured these APIs that it works with. So find domain, like I said, is a complex tool that also lets you use other tools or services, some of them for free and unauthenticated, while others require API keys. Let me actually show you. So for example, you can see it searches through records from Facebook, VirusTotal, CRT.sh, Anubis, Sublister, and others. Now, like I said, you can find more about it by studying the documentation, and I highly recommend you should do that. As you can see, find domain actually tells us that it found 314 subdomains, and what we're actually going to do is to copy all of these with Control-Shift-C. We're going to go into nano results.txt, Control-Shift-V, Control-O, enter to save, Control-X. Now we clear and we move on. Meanwhile, AMS is still working. So like I said, find domain, if I do a find domain -- help, I don't think it says, but I could run the same query as previously. But what I want to say is that find domain already uses crt.sh, and I'm going to show you another tool which pretty much basically does the same thing. And you can find the Python script for this tool via the link in the resources document. So I'm actually going to copy it from my tools here. It's actually not in my tools. Our subdomain, we want to copy crt.sh, web.py. We're going to copy it in here. So we're going to run the script using Python, crt.sh, actually Python 3, crt.sh, and docs.google.com. Okay, we'll let it run. It only found these two, so that's interesting. Again, you can use this script via Python, or you can just go to its web interface. So you can go to crt.sh and then look for all.docs.google.com, and in this case the star has been replaced docs. We're actually telling crt.sh to look through all the subdomains that it can find for docs.google.com. Hit enter, and we're probably gonna get a very big list of results that you have to further clean yourself. However, as I said, find domain does a lot of the work for yourself, for you. And it actually uses crt.sh similar to the web results that we've got, and it actually also does a lot of the cleaning for you. So better actually rely on find subdomains, but I'm just showing you the way to actually get through similar results via different methods. Okay. There's no reason for me to copy these two results to our results folder, because they're probably are in there. If we look at results and we grab for C docs.google, we can see that it finds a lot of them, so we don't need to add that. Alright, the fourth tool we're going to use, which is really fast, is written in Go, and also it also looks through records from crt.sh, Search Spotter, Hacker Target, Wayback Machine, and more. And this amazing tool is Asset Finder, and I highly encourage you, as I've said previously for the rest of the tools, I highly encourage you to check the documentation for its capabilities. In this case, we'll simply do Asset Finder subs only, docs.google.com. And we specified the subs only parameter because we only need the subdomains of our request domain or subdomain. Otherwise, it will also output subdomains or domains associated with our query. So for example, it might, since we look through Google, it might, if we do not specify the subs only, it would also look through YouTube and other domains associated with this. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff in here. We can simply just copy these, or we could simply repeat the command and append the results to results.txt. We can do this and the results are going to be appended, or we can simply go into results.txt, go to the end of the file, Ctrl-Shift-V, and then we've pasted all of them here, save and exit, clear. If we look at results and we do a word count to see how many lines we have 620 lines, out of which probably there are many duplicates, but we'll take care of that later. Okay, so as you can see, AMAS didn't do too much of a big job here, so in some cases it's relevant, in other cases it's less relevant, but AMAS is a really good tool which I use a lot, and I highly suggest you should too. Now, like I said, many of these tools look through the same records more or less, which is a good way to actually cross-check or double-check your results. My point is, get or obtain a lot of data, then clean later. So our fifth tool is Subdomain, and since I've already copied it in here, we'll just navigate to it, clear, and then we simply say Subdomain. Actually, that was Subinam. This is a custom tool that I have written myself, and I've added it to the path. Okay, so subroot.py, and then we simply specify this domain that we want to look for subdomains for. And this is also a tool that spills the subdomains it can find, but we've already used Subdomain, its API, through the find domain, so this is just to double check the results or cross check the results. Let me actually clear this as well. So now that we have a big messy list of subdomains, our next task is to make order in the mess, or to organize the mess and clean the results. And you learn some useful bash kung fu meanwhile. Before I finish this lesson, I need to highlight that there are also other tools you might want to try out for subdomain discovery, and not only. Please look into the resources document for this lesson for links to these and more tools for subdomain discovery. I've also included a free book that has been really helpful for me as well. And the final point that I want to make, so please take notes, is that in order for you to develop your own custom private methodology, do this. So number one, do a Google search for, let's say, subdomain enumeration tool. Okay, then number two, test the tools you find. So actually test as many tools as possible. Then number three, add them to your written methodology document, which by this point you should already, it should already start taking shape. So number three, include these tools, or the best of these tools, into your own methodology. In this way, you will be on your own way to create your own private personal methodology, which will be different from mine or anyone else.